Hello, my name is Mateo Lopez Moncaliano, and this is homework 6. So for homework 6, I use PHP, MySQL, and XAMPP. So in order to run the code, you need to download XAMPP, and you need to start the Apache and MySQL server. Then you need to put these files in htdocs. So you need to put this folder right here with these 3 files into htdocs, and then you need to also have this index. So the index will take you to the folder, and we'll use the index from the correct folder into exam. So after you do that, you need to admin the database. It will show this, and you need to click import, choose file. You need to select the create database. I have it here also. And then you click import, and all the database is imported. You can see it right here with the 3 tables. Well, each table has columns, but we don't worry about that. Now we can close this, and then I will show how the application works. The page works. I am not a very good front-end developer, so it's not the prettiest website, but it's functional, and I think that's what it works for this assignment. So this is the database home. It will do the task specified in the assignment, and we'll do an extra one also. So you can insert into the shipment table. For example, let's do the example from the requirement from the assignment. You can insert. Well, before that, let's display the the suppliers. These are the suppliers, supplier number, supplier name, and status. Then the shipments. These are the shipment supplier number again, part number, quantity, and price. We are going to insert into the table a new shipment, which is going to have supplier 2, part name 3, 200, and price 0.6. So 2, 3. So we look 2. There is no 2, 3. Right here would be the last one, 2, 2. Then we insert it. Say success. Then we check, and here is 2, 3, 200, 0.06. Now we can do the second one, that is S4, part 2, 100 quantity, and 0.005. And as we can see, 4 and 2, 4 is right here and 2 is right here, so it is already in the database. And because the supplier number and part number are primary keys, it shouldn't be able to insert that value, because there can be only one tuple primary key for each in the table. So we click insert. So it displays warning, a duplicate entry, no changes made. There were no changes made. Here is 2, 2, and nothing happened. Well, now I can display the suppliers. Here are all the suppliers and the status 2010, 30, 20, 30. And if I click here, increase supplier status by 10%, it says success. And for the suppliers, the status increased by 10%. And you can keep doing it. Play suppliers, then increase 24, 12, 36, and just keep doing it, and it will keep increasing by 10% the status of the suppliers. At last, well, display the information of all suppliers, well, like right here. I added the display shipments, so because I think it's important to see the shipments because you are inserting to them. And the last requirement is the display suppliers by part. For example, let's write part number 1. Oh, sorry, I didn't click submit. Part number 1, so suppliers 1 and 2 ship that part. And we can check that in shipments. We can check by looking at 1 here and 1 here, and there is no other one in the table. Just supplier 1 and supplier 2 are the only ones that ship it. And for example, if I do 2, submit, so 1, 2, 3, 4, they all ship it. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, they all ship 2, 2, 2, 2. And let's do, for example, part 4. So only suppliers 1 and 4 ship that part. So suppliers 1, ship part 4, 4, ship that part. No more suppliers ship that. And that would be pretty much it. So, and now I can go ahead and just close the page, and I can look into the code. I can open this, this, the other index also. So the first index is, well, the one that I already explained, that it takes you to the second folder. I use this from the final project I did with my group. I did the same, I just changed the name of the folder. For the main index, the only thing that it does is it takes you to the home.php. That is where all the code is going to be uh, in. It's going to be all in here. And before we talk about the code, the database, it is almost the same as the code I downloaded from the course website. I only added, well, I think, well, I had this code for a while, so I don't remember. I remember I added this. So every time I added this to drop the database if it exists and create a new one to like reset all the values to the default ones. For example, the changes that we made just now, if we execute this again, it will clean the database to the default values. And well, now the code. So for the code, well, in the head, I did a couple of styles. I didn't do another file for the CSS. I only did for group, label, input, and button. For I use most of the knowledge from PHP. I found it from the final project. I had to learn PHP. And this project was harder than I expected. The homework sheet was harder than I expected. because I run into all kinds of problems, but at the end it all worked out. So first I start by doing PHP to save the server name, username, password, and database. Then I do a connection with all these values to save them across the executions of when I click buttons or things like that. Then, well, I check if the connection, if there is an error in the connection. Then here is the title. Here is the class. The first div. The this is for the first task. Let me show what thing is which thing is which. So all this code from here to here is for this first part. The first, here is the HTML. Let me put a space. So the HTML has all the buttons and input boxes and all the text that is displayed right here. And just after I close the div, I do the PHP code that runs all the commands in the server. So this right here is to check if I click the button insert, and if that happens, I save the values from the boxes, from these 4 boxes into these 4 variables, and then I check for value errors. So if I check if the ship number is not a number, if the part number is not a number, the price is not a number. So this was not asked. This actually was in the assignment. In the assignment it said to check for. Oh, I don't see it. It says to. I remember it said to check for that check the price that it was greater than or greater than 0, which is checking. If it is not, it will display the error. And for the else, if none of these cases are true, then it will prepare a statement so it will prepare this query in order to help against SQL injections, and all these 4 things are for to the placeholders for the 4 values. Then it will check for the data types. It will bind the variables to the actual values. So integer, 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 double. So integer, 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 double. And then it will try to execute. And if execute is successful, then it will, well, there are 2 cases. It can be either successful or not. If it is not successful, it will throw an error. If it is successful, there is another case, which is that the value might be already in the table. So I use ignore in order to, if the, so it will only insert into the table if there is a new value. If it is not a new value, it will ignore that query. It will ignore that insert. And right here, I am checking if the number of, if the rows are affected, and if they are not affected, if they are affected, which means they are greater than 0, it will display success. Else, it will just display the warning, duplicate entry, no changes made. Um, and that's it for query 1. For query 2, this one is easy. Here is the HTML for this right here. Here is the PHP for the functionality. It will do the same as query 1, as the first part. It will check for the enter button to be clicked, is set. Then it will prepare the statement. So update supplier and the set status equal, well, status times 1.1, that is 10%. Well, yeah, 10%. Then it will execute and it will display success or error if it is not successful. Then it will close the connection and that's it. Number 3 is just to display all of this is this part right here. And the PHP for that is the same. Check for the button click and then prepare the query for all the information for supplier. And then if the number of rows is greater than 0, and the query was successful, it will display all the values in the table in this order. So here's the table, border one, and well, we'll do this. In other words, so we'll use the values for the rows as supplier number, supplier name, and status. And well, that's it. For table for part 4, this one right here, it will do exactly the same as the last one. The only difference is that for this one will be shipment. So this was not asked in the assignment, but I did it because it's important if we want to know if the value was inserted correctly. And then the last one, it is the last one, display supplier by part. So for this one, here is the code, the HTML for this part, and here's the PHP. And this is a little longer. So same, it will check if the button is pressed. It will check that if the how do you say, if the if the input was set also. Um, um, well, it would prepare a statement. Same for the SQL injection to prevent that. And so I will do this query. It will do an inner join between a supplier and shipment on the SNL supplier number. No, yes, supplier number, where the shipment is equal to select for the part number from part where it's equal to the placeholder, which is right here. Yes, which is right here. Here's where a part number is going to be bind. So I set it as a string. Um, I set it as an int. As a string, it works also, but let's do it as an integer. Then it will execute, and if the execute was successful, the number of rows is greater than 0. Um, it will mm, it will display the table with the results for, well, here we'll bind all the SNL, well, it will display all the values with the table, and we'll echo, finish the table, else no results, and close. And that's pretty much it.